Hello everyone. This is going to be the first from two videos that I'm going to record to show you the new workflow that we put together for the Pollination Revit plugin. Um, if you're someone who used to the old one, so the old one is still here, it's called Export Model under Legacy. We will remove it once we make sure like the new workflow works. And don't worry, the new workflow is very similar. We basically use all that we learned, but we added new improvements here and there, new features, and we made the whole UI more interactive. So in this video, the first video, I'm going to show you how to export this model as 3 snapshots, one per level. And then the next video will cover how to clean them up, merge them together, and export them to other software. Okay, let's get started. So what has changed here is you have these 4 buttons for creating shades, selecting apertures indoors, creating rooms, and edit and export model. The place that I'm going to start is select apertures doors. This is technically step 2 and 3 of the older workflow. Now they come together, the same UI, so the apertures are here, doors are here. You can switch between the two, and you can go here and select the window or select the curtain wall panel, and then you can right click and see it in the inside Revit. So let me go to perspective view. I'm going to make this wireframe so it's easier to see. So this was like available in the older version too, so you can always right click here and do select all, and you can see all of them in the inside the Revit viewport. This will help you to pick the correct apertures and doors to be parsed. Again, remember the Revit plugin doesn't guess. You have to tell the Revit plugin what needs to be parsed. So in this model, it's this fixed windows and curtain wall panel. The other feature that we added that is new here is that now you can filter the apertures uh, based on the level. So I can just go and say, only show me the ones that are available in the first level. And you can see the count changing here. So if I select both entry level and second floor, you will see this jumps from 6 to 15, right? And then goes all the way up. So that's something that you have. And if you have a larger model and you have like, tens of or some models like close to 100 different types of windows and curtain wall panels, you can use this quickly to focus on the level that you want to export, level by level. So here I'm going to pick the uh, this fixed ones and the curtain wall panels. For doors, I'm going to leave it as is. I'm not going to export the doors for this video tutorial, but you can do the same thing. The filter select by down here is also the same. Okay, I can keep this open and go to this next step. So, and that's one of the main things that has changed in the behavior. So now kind of like you can have them next to each other. It's more interactive. You don't have to go all the way back and forth. But for this one, again, we don't need it. So I just do OK, and that's basically saves my selection. Then the next step, I have to click on create rooms. And create rooms is basically the most of the steps that we had in export model here, like it's in 5 steps now. I have selected the apertures and doors, right? The settings are the same, so you have boundary location, unless you are exporting to eye to eyes, just leave it at wall center. And then you want the volume to be calculated. There are settings here for arcs of division length if you have a model which has curves in it. And we have minimum hole area here still. This is something that is not as useful as it used to be, because in the model editor now we have a routine that removes all these small holes. But again, you can use it if whenever it makes sense. One thing to make sure is to make sure the phases are selected correctly, right? New construction in this case is correct. And then here you can check how you want the display name to look. Do you want the number to be first or name? Also, we have in model editor now, we have new ways to edit the names if you want. There is a minimal Python script editor that can help you there. Okay, so this is all the settings. The next step is to go and check the levels. One thing that has changed, so for you, this will not show up here. One thing that has changed from the what we had before is now you have a new column for elevation here, and the other column for alignment has been removed because now we do all the alignments in the model editor. But why do we have elevation here? Because now for setting the extrusion height, you don't have to go and check the section every single time. You can just check here the elevation difference between the second floor and first floor is 3,800. So the number here should be 3,800. We can probably do a better job to automate some of this, or at least let you say, the top level is something, and then based on that, the number should be. So all the numbers are basically 3,800, 3,800, and 3,800. One new option that we have here is you can hide all the levels that they don't have any rooms, spaces, or areas. Again, like I'll just do it. You see these two are in and out. Why is it important? Again, like in a lot of models, we have seen like tens of different levels that are not really for rooms, like they're for different purposes, and you don't want to see them. You can just hide them, so you just get a clean view of the ones that are useful for exporting as an energy model. Okay, so now that I have the doors and windows selected, I have the settings set. Now I'm going to go level by level and check the plans. So what I'm going to look for when I'm checking the plans, I'm going to check to make sure all the rooms are placed, and mainly the rooms with having any outside facade are placed, because those are the things that I cannot place easily in the model editor. You also want to make sure if there is a room that has any windows, right, or skylight, which we call apertures, both of them, if they have any of those, you want to make sure those rooms exist in your Revit model, because if you export them in the model editor, you put them, the window is not going to be there. So, okay, let's go there. I'm going to click on this plus here and create a floor plan. And I'm going to check, and you can see in this one, for example, this room is missing. So I can do RM, not RN, RM, or and click. So that's one option. The other way that I can add a room is to go under architecture and click on this room, right, and try to place them one by one. So there's one other missing here, and another one is missing here. The third option that I have is to click on this room and then use place rooms automatically. So this is a nice feature, but you have to use it carefully, because if you just click this and you have a lot of small gaps in your model, they might end up being rooms that you don't really want. So if you see enclosed areas larger than 0.25 square foot. So you might have things that are slightly larger, but they don't necessarily need to be rooms. So you just want to be careful when you use this, or if you can change it, then if you can change the parameter to of the area, then that's even better. Go do that. But be careful when you use it. I'm not going to use it for this floor because I want to show you in the model editor how to place these rooms. So let's just leave it as is. I just placed this one. Then now that I have the first floor, I can go to the next step. So I'm going to go here, 01 entry level, go next. All the rooms are selected. One thing that you see that is different here is now if you want, before you go to step 4, which will start parsing the model, you can select to exclude apertures and doors. Why is it important, or why is it useful? Because sometimes you go select all the apertures and doors, and then you go render the basically parse the rooms and render them, and you see, oh wow, like there are so many things that you want to change. So you have to go back and forth. And when you go back and forth, having these apertures and doors as part of the calculation make things slower. So you can exclude them and quickly basically do the masses of the rooms and export them, like make sure everything looks good, and then come back here and include them, or include them in step 4. Uh, for this model, I don't need to exclude them, something to be aware of. We also have seen cases that basically all the user wanted was just to get the rooms, and then they wanted to do window to wall ratio, so they didn't care about the apertures as much. So that can be useful there too. So now all the rooms are here. If you know this model, one of the rooms is double height, so we will talk about that. That's the next thing to know, how to overwrite the height, because I set the height for the whole level in one single number. But before that, what you usually do when you come here is you select everything and do a preview. If you have used the older version, you have seen like there was only one button for preview, and preview was fairly slow, depending on size of the model, but it was not something that you really enjoy the time when you were playing with it. And we have seen some people don't run the preview because it takes forever. So we tried to improve that a lot. Now you have three options. So the first option is called the reload preview. What it does, it basically takes the whole selection that you have here and creates a preview for them, renders it as is. Then we have the second option. The second option, what it does, it updates any properties that you might have changed here in pollination menu before rendering. It takes a little bit longer, but if you make a change in your pollination properties, then you have to use that. What does that mean? So as I said, this space is double height, right? So you can always go here and turn off the ceiling, right, to be able to read the name of the room if you didn't know where it is. Of course, you can read it um, from the plan too. So it's 120 launch. What I can do here, I can click on number. So everything will be sorted by numbers. I can find this room, 120, and click on it. Right click and overwrite or reset height. Then now I can set this to 7600. Also, the other thing that I have to do is this space is actually exposed, is top exposed, it has a roof. So I'm going to select this one too, right? And now, if I want to see the changes, I shouldn't reload preview, right? I should update and reload preview. And keep in mind, I'm just selecting this room to be faster. So now you can see it did make the change for the height. It also, because I marked it as top exposed, it tried to find the roof and it solved the roof for me. So two good things happened, but the windows are missing. The reason the windows are missing is because I did not click on this box. I clicked on this, so it doesn't reload anything from Revit. Because I changed the geometry and I want the windows to be parsed, now I have to click on this box, which basically does the reparsing and then creates the preview. So we are talking about making this more efficient. So for example, giving you the option to only load the ones that you have selected, um, so it doesn't load the whole floor. But again, you have the option in step 3 to only select the room if you're trying to fix something. Okay, now I have everything. Things look good. So let me select everything, do another quick preview this time. Again, like I'm not going to uh, reload everything, and you see that's faster. So things look good. I know I have missing rooms here, but that was by choice, like right, like that's okay. There are issues here, right, for all these gaps, but I'm not going to worry about them for now. I'm going to take care of them in the model editor. So I go click on next, and here's the step that if you're exporting to HPJSON to go to the Rhino plugin, or you do GBXML for a format that imports construction set and program types, or you're going to eQuest, OpenStudio, or Energy Plus, you might want to take your time and assign the program types and construction set here. So just right click and go to Edit Properties, and this menu pops up. And here you can go and change the program types. We have what comes with Open Studio, but you can also build your custom program types and construction sets and include them. If you don't know how to do that, there are video tutorials available, or you can reach out to us and we can help you with that. So for this case of this tutorial, I'm not going to do that. So I'll just leave everything as default, just okay. And now when everything is done. And remember, everything should be selected. So if you click on something, press Control A, or press this button here to select all if you want to export everything. And you create a snapshot, and this one called uh, 01 entry level. So I can call it level cleanup. and save. So when I save this, it will be saved locally, right? You see here. And I can see them now. If I go and click on this edit and export model, I will see the snapshot created here and loaded here. So I'll just move this a little bit here so you can see this is now a snapshot that I have, the first one that I exported, right? And the path for people who are worried, like everything is saved locally. So this is the file path to your snapshot, which is saved locally on your machine, right? If this is the first time you open this, you need to log in because this is a web-based interface, but everything stays local when you run it from inside Revit. We added a frequently asked questions section that you can go and read how exactly this works. And the data, it doesn't leave your computer. I'm not going to open anything. Like, I mean, you can click here or work on it. I'll get back to this. I lied. I'm going to open so you can see it. The model is here with all the information, like all the rooms. But I'll get to like how to work here in this model editor in the second video. So for now, I close this. Now that I did the first level, I need to do the same for second level and third level. There's only one thing that I want to mention before doing that is, so a lot of energy modelers come and say, okay, look, this is good. We have all this, but we don't need all these rooms, right? There are like just too many rooms in Revit models. We just want, like merge them together. We want to do spaces. So there are two choices here. One is you can do that in the model editor. There's a command that merges the room after you export it. But if you want to do it inside Revit and before export, you can either use areas or you can use spaces, right? You can draw areas or you can use spaces. We have seen people do areas. Many models, architecture model already have areas. So if I switch, for example, in this entry level from rooms to areas, you will see now from 31, you should only have 9 areas here. So you can do click on plus, and now I'm going to create an area plan to check this. So this might be closer to what you want as an energy model if you do load calculation, right? Like you just merge all these ones that are rooms, same direction, similar program type, so they will be the same. So this one probably you want like, split it here, but you can look up how to draw areas. And we have seen now like in particular like EQUAS users, a lot of them just draw areas here and then export the areas. The process is exactly the same. So here, like if I wanted to export this, I just select areas as geometry source instead of rooms, then I do the same thing, right? I go next. Here you have the area, then go here. We can preview them. We parse all the apertures, everything that needs to be parsed. Then you have to make that space double height if you need to do that, right? Let me just do a quick preview so you can see it. And sometimes, actually, in most models, areas might be cleaner, so might not need as much of a cleanup to do. So that's one thing that I wanted to talk about to make sure. So if the number of rooms you want to basically decrease them right here, you can draw areas. The other thing is we get a lot of comments about apertures, right? Like they don't need all these windows. So this is also, you also have the option here in step 2. Instead of window calculation being detailed, you can select simple ratio. And if I go now next and next, it will be parsed. You will see the number of apertures just dropped, but you can also see it in the preview quickly. So now this is closer to what you might want for an early study, right? Like this is the window to wall ratio in the center of the face. So one thing to keep in mind here is you don't want to do this first. You want to do this after you check the detailed windows and make sure the export is correct. Once it's correct, you can do this. The other option that you have, and that would be my suggestion, is to not simplify them here and go all the way and simplify them in the model editor. Model editor has 2 commands for dealing with windows, one for repairing windows, the other one is for simplifying windows with a lot of different options. So I would do it there instead of doing it inside the Revit plugin, but again, some option that you have. So I go back here. I'm not going to export this, right? The first level I have already exported export that a snapshot. So let's go to the second floor and third floor. The process might get boring a little bit now, so you already know what to do, right? You just go and check. So here I can maybe use that command that I told you. So you can go here, do room, and then use this replace rooms automatically. One thing, so it put 5 rooms in different places. One thing that you may not notice if you do it is like this, and that's where I say things are dangerous. I mean, it's not a big deal because you can delete it later, but it put a room here on top of the entrance of the building. And remember, that was a double height building, so you will get 2 rooms on top of each other, uh, basically colliding. So I need to go and delete this one manually after I place all the rooms. So this is the second floor. Again, I'm going to ignore all this happiness here. I know, like, this is a piece of great work, um, artistic work as I call it. Like, they didn't even try to, like, align anything with anything, just like freehand separation lines. But this is very common in Revit models, so it is what it is, and we have quick ways to fix them now. So you can just leave it as is. Let's go back here. Uh, Next, get all of this next here. Wait for this to be parsed. Select everything and do a quick preview. And everything looks good, right? Next, and create a snapshot. And this one called 0.2 floor. This one I'm not going to write the description. So this is now saved also as a new snapshot. If you want to make sure things look good, you can come here and now you can see the second floor is here too. So one thing that you might get if you watch this video is like, you open this first time, I said you need to log in, but then you get a pop-up that says model editor is using a newer SDK version than your version. That basically means you have to update the Revit plugin. And there is a link that you can see what are the changes that has happened. If you are using the WIP version of the model editor, the one that came with the very first release that we did, you have to update. Many things have changed. This is much better now. And things are not compatible. So you have to update to the latest version of the Revit plugin. Okay, let's go do the same thing for the third floor. Third floor is an interesting one. So I go back here, do here plus, create floor plan. Let's check. The reason I said it's an interesting one because they are missing a big hallway here. I don't know how you can miss this one in a sample model, but you know, it happens. So I'm going to use the automatic one again, and then I'm going to go here and double click and rename this to corridor. And probably I'm going to edit the number to start with 3 so I know where the room is. And this is another thing to be careful when you do this automatic placement. Maybe there is a better way and I don't know. But the numbers are not necessarily the ones that you want, right? Like these are all get a 2. You can fix all of this in Model Editor too. Okay, that's the good news. But these are the things, particularly if you're saving uh, the Revit model, you want to actually you should save the Revit model. Something to mention. You should save the model Revit model if you want all the information, all the snapshots to stay in the model. And something that I didn't mention is that when you open this model, these snapshots will be there, and only you will see the snapshots that are related to this model are exported from this model. In the older version, we had all the snapshots that you exported from all the models. So that's not how it works now. It's only the snapshots for this model. One other thing here is because it's on the third floor, I have to fix this for the Revit plugin and make sure everything is top exposed. So I just click here. Now let's do a preview, and I do the quick preview. My understanding is with when the line changes to red, even when you do, if you do quick preview, it basically works on similar to update and reload preview. So now I can see this here. If you have seen any of the older video, you know like these are not valid because the glasses are on top of each other. Again, something that we will fix in the model editor. I'm not going to worry about it. If you want, you also have the validate option still here, so you can run validation on your model. Again, something that depending on your case, it might be useful to quickly see some of the stuff and fix it before exporting it to model editor. But again, like all of this are is also available in model editor. So it's kind of a decision for you have to make like the judgment call of where do you want to fix it and how many fixes you want to do in the Revit model, and do you own the Revit model? Are you going to reuse the Revit model, or do you want to just do the fix in the model editor? One thing to mention is as we keep developing the model editor, there will be a better connection between the two. So that means after exporting the model edit, the the snapshot to model editor, you can still, or you should be able to still to go to model editor and say update this certain room because we know this model editor is related to this Revit model, and we know the ID or GUID, the specific ID of that room, so we can keep track of the changes in Revit. We do not have that yet. I'm just giving you an idea of like this line between the model editor and Revit will be more blurry in the near future. For now, when you do save a snapshot, it's kind of disconnected, right? Is now everything is in the model editor. So here we go. We exported first, second, and third floor here successfully. Um, and I think I covered almost everything that I wanted to cover except for one, which is exporting shades. So if you have worked with the older version, there was a step for exporting shades. So what we have done now is we have created its own separate UI for exporting shades. The whole workflow is the same, right? You just select them from Revit. So if I want to do this, let's make this thing shaded. So for example, I can come here, right click, select all instances in the entire project, right? I can go here and I can add shades from selection. So all the shades will be here. You see, I have already selected some plants. Uh, Let me go and select more plants. Uh, this one here, here. And there is this one here that's important. And now I'm going to do plus here and add just from selection. So I have all the shades. Uh, One thing that I can do now that I was not able to do before was now I can export the shades in one step as a snapshot, right? The shades can be their own um, separate snapshot. Why is it important? Because we saw a lot of cases that people really what they want is just like to get the shades out once. Sometimes they only wanted to use the plugin to just export the shades, right? Not the rooms at that point. And this thing was like they had to export the shit like 10 times. So now you just export it once and you're done. You still have the option to include it in your export process. I didn't mention it, but some of you might have already seen it, that if you want, when you're exporting a floor or the whole model, like the option that you have to exclude apertures and doors, there is also an option to include shades. So I can select that, and that means when it parses this, the third floor, it also includes shades as part of this model. That means if I select this here and do create a preview, the shades will be here, you see, as part of this model. So this is up to you. If you want to now, you can directly go and export the shades, or you can include the shade in one of the snapshots that you export, right? My recommendation again is for most models, if the model is small, it's different. You can just do everything. As soon as the models get larger, and that's most of the models that we have seen people use the Pollination plugin for, this separation is helpful. You just separate them. You have a clean export of every level and the shades, and then you can do all the mix and merge that you need to do in the model editor. Okay, with that, um, thank you for watching. I hope you can follow all this step and export the snapshots from your Revit model. In the second video, I'm going to show you how to clean up the snapshots that we just exported. Thank you so much.